Hi, welcome to ShintoSEYE I.S.E.S. We're going to just connect to our breath, connect to our body using our breath and some subtle shaking and sounding to center ourselves and balance ourselves. Feel free to join in. She's Topo! We've been going through quite a bit of transitioning and transformation and doing lots of stuff lately, so we might end up I think we're going to be quite young after we connect to ourselves, because when we connect to ourselves we're going deeper, so we're getting to the core of us. We get more nervous we're still getting nervous with doing these, but we're managing it better. So yeah, so we're just going to do some subtle shaking and sounding and connect to our breath. Feel free to join in and connect to source energy. To connect to source energy, we connect to our deep internal body using our breath. Our breath brings the union of mind and body and cosmos all into that oneness state. And it'll be inward sounding and outward sounding.
And then 3 arms backwards, 3 arms forwards, 3 arms backwards. Om being or So backwards would be or We're going to breathe in through our nose, in through our mouth, in through our nose again for the inhalation. That's what you do what you feel you need to do. And we have our tongue on the top of our mouth at the back when we do it. And when we breathe in through our mouth, we're going to widen our mouth because because that widens our collarbone. We were going to say rib cage, but I suppose it has the collarbone 1, no rib cage 1. Okay, that's the top of the rib cage 1 is behind the collarbone. No, 4 max, the top of that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, when you've got that lung problem and you have to stab a hollow thing in to help them breathe. Got all kinds of memories and stuff coming up. We had to do that for our training when we were training to deploy for humanitarian aid worker to deploy to the Philippines. Shall we do our OMS now, please? Yeah, thank you. Thank you for showing yourselves. Good to see you. Putting our hand positions in that same the basin for prana. Prana is the Hindu for energy. Thumbs together. We're just doing that behind our rib cage at the back. You can see there's lots of stuff going on with our fused, displaced collarbone there as the physical body responds to our energetic body realigning itself energetically to then realign itself physically. The collarbone and sit bones give the figure of 8 pattern of energy on each side of the body. And then the central channel goes down your spinal column, your spinal cord, your spine. And that's called the Sushumna. And that's the main one used to filter out energy, incoming energy, to filter out what the body doesn't need. So if one has any central nervous system disorders, then the Sushumna is normally constipated or congested. And so then that the toxic energies, the dissonant frequencies will then go around the body in the figure of 8 patterns rather than being able to go in energetically and out energetically. So the filter mechanism of the energetic body isn't functioning properly.
Put the tongue to the bottom of our mouth now. No, it's going to go up on the, when you put your tongue at the top of the mouth, but at the front, just behind the teeth, that's connecting the energy center flow around the body. So that's where our tongue's going to be now. And we're going to breathe in wide and then through the mouth and then through the nose and then to the mouth. And this is for the last 3 ohms backwards. But we are doing a pattern where it's backwards and then forwards in the 1 ohm. Nema. Amen. Nema. I.S.E.S. Namaste. I.S.E.S. Okay. We've got our little Russian doll here. It's the 5th one.
So we are young, but we've obviously got the adult voice because we're counting with our fingers. Yes, it's the fifth one. It was going through our head of that there was 2 5s on the way to 10, and it's blatantly not 2 5s on the way to 10. So there's some interesting stuff going on in our networks of our brain. You want to show what we've done today quickly, don't you? Yeah, please. Okay. We've just put up the next 10 tarot cards. You can't get much closer. We have the chakra ones at the top of the tarot, and we've already done 10. So these are parts of our fun tools for the shadow dance of life, for self-discovery, self-transformation, also for gateways and portals. We cleared the other 10 off, well, quite a while ago, but we couldn't tell you a time frame of that. Realizing how much time's passing. Yeah, it's our time's out the window. We then read the Tao of Tarot relative, which is this woman, the way, I don't know, you probably might not be able to hear there from the microphone, the way to health, happiness and spiritual illumination through Qigong dreaming. So it's this lady's dreams and her understanding of her dreams and herself, and then the connections to Qigong and other things. So we read stuff like this because we're super hyper highly sensitive and empath and autistic, and we're so present that whatever we do, we connect into those energies. And a terminology for that is there's a gateway or a portal being connected. So one thing we discovered is when we embrace creations of other people and those other people's creations, because sometimes it's obvious, it's not obvious other times, but if that person has made it obvious that, for instance, they're writing a poem and in that there's sexual abuse, this is what's been coming up for us a bit at the moment, in that poem it's about sexual abuse, for instance, or the poems to release sexual abuse frequencies, because we've been through that, we will connect into those trauma frequencies in our body, and it'll help discombobulate them, do whatever needs to be done energetically, so that those cut-off pathways in the body can just be, maybe it's the fascia, whatever needs to be gently ripped apart, or if it was like us near the start, vigorously, chaotically, which isn't the way we want to happen for people that come to our material. So hence our journey to self-love and cleansing our body through the food we eat, through the liquid that we drink, through focusing on every chakra body, so that we are in the most purest, clearest, cleanest, whatever wording, channel for the energy to flow through, so it gives the other person the smoothest ride possible through their trauma frequencies. I don't know if we said we're an empath, so we absorb energy as well. And so if our Shishuma's congested and constipated, that energy finds it hard to go out, and we mirror energy then as well. And because we're split, and so many of us, we're not always very good at recognizing when we go into these energetic communications too much, but there'll always be another altar or something happen to make us aware of that, which will then send us and other ones of us into a state of confusion because they weren't aware of it. And that could be from these tools that we use, the stuff that we watch, certain things that we eat, people we interact with. It's all the same, it's energetic communications. So the ones that we're on now, I can tell you the ones that we have gone through and done, because the tarot is a journey of transformation. There's been lots of stuff, connections and everything going on, a lot to do with 22 being important. 2 important today, you know. Yeah, we've been on a second chakra today, and 2, the card we turned today was on the creativity oracle, which was prepared over a year ago. We've realized is trust. I think it's 21. No, it's not trust, is it? It's truth, number 21. We've been the table's been in a bit of a mess from the tarot cards needing to go up there. Through, we opened our new pack of Alchemy Tarot Bowl, the World Unknown CNT Topo, but we'll go into that in a minute. And I think we're not going to do too much today. We're just going to pull cards from these 4 packs, which have been out from whichever episode we mentioned them on there. Hey, Green Fairy. Hey, Hannah, how are you? So the ones that we had done was in the last batch of 10, it was the Fool, Temperance, the Empress, the Emperor. Oh, when we breathe in with our tongue sticking out, we're connecting with the yin energies, the female energies, which cool us down. So if you're ever getting really hot in the body, in the head, anywhere, if you breathe in through your mouth and out through your nose, that's meant to cool you down. Titopo, we did get cooler, didn't we? So it must have worked for us. Well done. Thank you for making us aware of that. The Wheel of Fortune we did before, the High Priestess, Justice, the Moon, and the Lovers, and Strength. So this time we're on the Magician, the Hermit. So it's these archetypal energies that we're dancing with. And so these portals, these gateways, these energies then are opened. And they've been open for a while because we've had the chakra ones at the top. And this is all unique and individual to the perspective of the creator. So, for instance, we would personally put different chakras to different major arcanas to what this lady has done. But no, there's not any but, because when you use a but, it means you cancel out what you say before, and we don't remember what we said before, but we don't want to cancel anything out, do we? No, it's all true. Truth. Yeah. So just because one person has a certain perspective and shares their perspective from that area doesn't mean it has to be that way. It's about discovering our own experience. And we asked a question somewhere, more likely in Spirit Mysteries, because there's been a lot of interaction with that community lately, about the need to search for present, current day and past knowledge. And what if all the answers are inside of us? I wasn't expecting this to come out. If all the answers are inside of us, what is that need to search for this knowledge outside of us? And I suppose looking into the future, it's not hard, fast knowledge because it's not been created yet, but people want, there's a stigma attached to tarot that it reads the future. And so there's the knowledge of the future as well, but the future has yet to be manifest. The yet to be manifest is the concept, it's the idea, it's the imagination, and it all starts within the imagination. And the imagination is, let's say, the third eye chakra, comes in through the energy source, energy flow that can come. See, it can come in through the crown chakra, but source energy can come in through the root chakra as well. So root chakra is the earthly, denser, more compressed energies, the lower frequencies, the longer wavelengths. The faster frequencies are the heavenly energies, but that's still for us limiting, because that's just saying, well, it comes in from the bottom and in from the top. And it doesn't. It comes in through every orifice in the body, and every orifice of the body means every hair follicle. So in the oneness state of completion, there is that torus, that donut-shaped toroidal flow of energy, which has a channel in and a channel out, but you've always got your polarities happening. So at the same time as you're in and you're out, you've got your in and your out going on. But that's looking at it of the complete wholeness with the two channels going up. But that ball of energy can be always moving. But if it's not moving, then it's going to get stagnant. So hence from the conceptualizations or philosophies of yoga, which is an art, a philosophy, and a science, it's the king and the queen of poses is your headstand and your shoulder stand. I'm not sure if we got the Doesn't mean that the head stands the king and the shoulder stands the queen. We wouldn't be able to tell you in the state of flow that we're in at the moment which is which. So with yoga, what one is doing is putting themselves into different body patterns. We have got so much stuff going on at the moment. The vibration is really high and intense, and we can feel the adrenaline in our mouth and everything. We have done inversion just before, not long before coming on here on our supported stand thing, and a wee little short yoga class in our way, which we have to take long breaks from because our knees get really bad and other things. So we've just started into the momentum again today. So yoga is putting yourself in different patterns. It's all about patterns. If you notice how we did our Om, we started off doing it backwards, then forwards, then backwards. When one does yoga, you'll go to one side and then you'll go to another side to create balance, which to us just seems completely illogical, because that's implying then that one is balanced to start with, and no one's really balanced to start with, or we wouldn't be seeking balance constantly as human beings between work, rest, play, etc. So for us, it makes more sense to start on the side that's weakest, not do it for as long, then go to the other side, do it for longer, and then go back to the weaker side. And therefore the weaker side is getting 2 bursts and the two goes, and the other side's getting 1 go, and it will slowly strengthen it up. And a lot of the time we notice with teachers, they tend to go to one side first, and they're always on that one side first for longer. And being a yoga teacher, well, it's not being a yoga teacher, but being doing our younger yoga teacher training, because we never qualified, which is a blessing in disguise, although we think we would have qualified had we got our it was either the mid or end of October we did the assessment. We passed what everyone didn't think we'd passed. We sent them an email asking if we could do it over 2 days, explaining our situation to the best of our ability. They didn't allow us. We then passed the bit that no one thought we'd pass, which is the personal practice, because we were really an effing good teacher, which was all we needed, because it showed that we passed the bit that needed to be passed. For us, had we done it over 2 days, we would have passed it all, become an Iyengar yoga teacher, but then we would have been stuck in their ways. And we weren't meant to be stuck to one rigid system that's more dominant in masculine energy. So what goes on with us, a lot of people would call channeling, but we do it in a different way. But if we were to talk in the language that other people talk in, we would say we channel BKS Iyengar, and all these other people, but we don't channel them. We tap into their energies and we ask for their support, and then we allow whatever needs to come from that to flow through us for what we need for our own experience, because it's about us all having our own experience. And when we get caught up in these conceptualizations and these ideas of past knowledge, present knowledge, the hold or desperation or want or need for future knowledge, then we aren't an open channel to allow what's in our highest good, Mother Gaia's highest good, humanity's highest good, to flow through us. So there's this pure flow of creation, creative energies, sexual energies, second chakra, but we prefer to say the central energies. And in one of the color cards, when we did our focus exercise on our other channel, there was a card missing from this that we didn't know, which was number 16, which is the number for rebirth. And we're getting close to, because as you see, we sidetrack and we talk, because that's what we need to do for our highest good. So we're not focused on one area, one channel, one body network, or one mind network first, because it will overload the energy in that electromagnetic circuitry and it'll be too much. But because our cycles within cycles, the fractals within fractals are all happening so fast at the moment, hence our literally our physical vibration is so fast. We feel everything physically. We're deaf, blind, and dumb inside, which is our blessing, I suppose. It means we don't get caught up into the distractions and the lies and that our visual imagination tells us, or our auditory imagination tells us, etc. And whenever we've done hallucinogenics, we don't hallucinate. We experience and see great colours and stuff in the real environment. The real environment not being accurate, impeccable terminology. What we mean to say is the collective agreement of the external reality, because everything is real. The external collective reality is just an amalgamation, an alchemization, a balancing of every single human being, every single animal, leaf, tree, anything that's got Kundalini energy, any Kundalini energy in it, which is everything, because everything has energy in it and everything vibrates, and bringing all that energy together and alchemizing it. Because when we manifest the unseen, the imagination, and when we bring that unmanifest down through the filtration, the processing of each energetic center, spinning vortex of energy, it gets processed, and that it's not a linear thing of down, it's in, out, round. It's this complexity of directions, because none of us have a completely clear flowing channel, because if we did, we would be able to utilize our body in the most beautiful, magnificent ways, and our mind and everything, and there'd just be this, boy, you done more. I haven't got words for it. It's ineffable. Yeah, okay, we went off on one then. It got a bit intense and emotional. So we're just going to go back to reading what we're on now. So yeah, we're on the Magician, the Hermit, the Sun, the Devil and Death, Judgment, the Tower. We've read most of them. Mind you, only one we're halfway through. Death we've read. It's the Devil we're halfway through. Oh yeah, yeah, when we were looking at the Death card when we put it up, so all the colours have been organised, different ones of us function at different times. There's a lot of death is associated. One of the Death cards, the Sun and Moon Tarot, it's a lady body, but a phoenix. So it's a phoenix kind of with a phoenix head, but then a lady's body and wings. And so, you're rising from the ashes. But then another one's the skeleton of a bird. Another one's just a skeleton. It's the crown chakra. And then next to that is the devil. But the devil's the devil is Capricorn. Capricorn rules the bones and the knees. Our knees to get better, hopefully soon. Oh, that'd be so good. We've been waiting for so long for that. The knees are paternal and maternal family lineage on the line. And they're the outside of the body, So when you got the crisscross in your fascia and the deep inner, the root chakra in the red, Tito Paul Pain, and it's the knees. Thank you for attempting to share that, my lovelies. I don't quite understand what you're attempting to say yet. But I know that I will when we're meant to. But I trust you and I know that you know, okay? So it's really good to hear that we're starting to trust our little ones more and understand that when we didn't trust them before, they got mixed up. They didn't understand. We had words back to front, missed out certain words, turn words or sentences around by saying can't instead of can, etc. And so our whole kind of communication for us didn't make sense, let alone for other people. And people say to lead an intuitive-led life, but one can't lead an intuitive-led life if your intuition's kind of lying to you. And your gut, if your channels aren't aligned in that optimum path, of which with our fibromyalgia, that's new pathways built. So if there's new pathways being built, they're not the optimum path, then it's turning the body from a labyrinth. So if you know what a labyrinth is, in the labyrinth, there's one way in and there's one way out. And you can put, it's an exercise where you can put your finger on it and draw the whole pattern. We did this for like an hour one day ages ago, and we couldn't get out. We kept ending up back in the center. But that goes to show how we can't see it to believe it, because we'll do stuff and it shows the disconnection between the wiring and the body. For instance, when we looked in the mirror and we were missing limbs and our head was on back to front, wiring can get messed up, wired wrong, so it turns the one way in and the one way out into a maze where there's dead ends. And so then to unravel and untangle, we have to like cut certain of these energetic threads and then weave them together. And it's all too much to do from the conscious mind. It's not that it's too much to do from the conscious mind, it's just not possible. The conscious mind has been domesticated and conditioned through time to be dominant in masculine thinking, linear. The external reality is based on a masculine energy that contains feminine and masculine. So you will have your people that are more creative in their linear masculine conscious mind, but then you've got the linear, so it'll be masculine, feminine. But it's about going into the feminine. It's about going into the subconscious of time and space, of information, data, memory already written and recorded in the connective tissue, the denser energies, and that's the subconscious, and into the superconscious mind, which has yet to be manifest. So we give people their first experience energetically. Our chiropractor felt energy 2 inches out from our scar tissue like a golf ball, manipulated it. That was an anchor point holding all of our different energetic networks that had fragmented and separated and caused the alternate personalities that we didn't know about, the conscious eyes we were in denial about. We didn't know. We wouldn't have actually been able to handle knowing previous. We've struggled, been handling, knowing and navigating all this with where we're at the moment. Before would have been too much and one of us would have taken the body's life. So therefore denial is a blessing. But there comes a time, and we've been doing this self-awareness, self-discovery work since we were 18, and then got into the yoga rather than doing our accountancy, AAT, back in 2014. So we've been doing this journey for a hell of a long time. We've got lots to share, but haven't shared for numerous reasons. But of course, some of us have shared. And so that's why I hope that the one that we've made it clear on our channels that it's a live reality documentary of us navigating, and it's us to witness ourselves, which I know that's not really hugely clear in any one place, I don't think, or I don't know. And we've not, where are we going? What was all coming out? We've not asked for money because we know we're not clear in our sharing because of this. I don't know where we're going or what we're saying. We're all over the place at the moment. There's a lot going on. We're dancing with all the alternate personalities, all the chakra energies. It's all kind of coming out. We got go for moments of being clear and knowing and trusting in the future and where things are going, and earning our income, which we feel is happening soon, because as well as doing our 7-day transformation, we then started a ClickFunnels 5-day free channel. And for the first time, loads of the ideas that we've been putting together to earn our financial income and get ourselves off disability benefits, which we need to do because each time we go through a disability benefit process, it regresses us and brings us down, and we go back into the suicidal ideation, because it's focusing on all the negatives, it's focusing on what's wrong, and we can't do that. We can, but if we do that, we get sucked into that energy, and it overtakes. It doesn't overwhelm. It takes over. So, for instance, we looked manic in the psych ward when that was going on because there's so much fear, and what some people might call darkness to navigate. But we know that fear and excitement is measured scientifically in the same. So we turned all that fear into kind of excitement, and we kept ourselves anchored and grounded into the external reality by reading books. So we know that anything anyone says or does is their subconscious and their superconscious attempting to get a message to their conscious mind. But if their conscious mind's not ready yet due to limiting belief systems, which the majority of people aren't ready for a lot of stuff, because this is perceived as crazy shit, because that's the society we live in, because we live in a society that doesn't accept difference. It sees certain things as difference as a weakness. Lots of people are calling the younger generation snowflakes and too sensitive, and it's like there needs to be no judgment or emotional attachments to things, because the younger generation are more sensitive because they've grown up in a faster vibratory field with the World Wide Web and everything else that's been going on. So therefore they are more sensitive. So therefore drugs and all these other things come into play to cut ourselves off to feeling certain things. But yet the paradox to connect us into source energy as well, because what it's doing is it's doing certain cannabinoids and stuff in the body to cut off certain pathways and access other pathways. And all of these are tools. It's just how these tools are used, and remembering that they are just tools, and we do have it all within us. The answers are within. And so yes, to seek knowledge externally of us, past, future, present, but to understand that that is other people's experience expressed and created and written in a way for that time, era, generation that worked with the vocabulary and what they had at that moment, and to not get caught up in the words or the concept, to feel into the energy through our energy, which means by going inwards first to feel it, and then to know that we may use different words now. Two different people of the same time may use different words because they've got a different attachment or understanding to that words, and how communication and words are limited, and that we need to tap into the multitude, vaster, more impactful, heart-connected ways of communicating. But to do that, we need to connect deep and feel deep into our own heart, which, if we have gone through heart traumas, sexual traumas, other traumas, each of those chakra networks are going to have this misalignment. And when those traumas happened and those pathways are getting cut off, whatever we watch, listen to, the information coming in, we'll only get it in segments. Just like when one says there's information being pulled in through source energy, we're getting really sore up here now and achy. More trembly. So for us, the past is the left, it's the feminine. Tita, more. Our hair started growing back. It's coming to about down here. You can see there's almost an inch on where we were receding, and it's coming back. But that side, it's not. It's further back still. So it's here, but it's going up to here and up to here. So there's connections and pathways being made between our thinking, our feeling, and our working networks energetically. If we're going to speak in the language of chakras and colors, our working maybe could be the physical body, the red chakra, but at the same time, we'd also say that sense of security. So this, we back to it. Oh, I love it how we do this. Okay. So it's different layers and different tiers. The red chakra goes red to orange on the surface. On one plane, let's not go into surface or deep, we'll just go on one plane. It goes red, orange, red, yellow, red, green. The red is the anchor point. On another plane, another dimension, the anchor point is orange chakra, and that would go to orange, red, orange, yellow, orange, green. And you've got that on each of them. Now that's pretty complex, but that's just the surface. So we're in the society at the moment starting to understand how we need to transcend the thinking and the conceptualizations of duality reality, the separation, the fragmentation of the black and white, good and evil, yes and no, right and wrong, to understand at the end of the day, if everything is energy, even source energy, then we have to completely change our whole way of communicating and dialogue, because source energy doesn't have emotional attachments. God isn't watching over you saying that this is a sin or that's good or that's bad. The Bible was written by men. Lots of stuff was written by men, and there's no judgment attached to any of this. It's just saying that language and words are limiting. Things are changing and shifting. Energy alchemizes with other energy. Periodic table, every element, atom in the periodic table wobbles, apart from the 6 noble gases, which can keep themselves stable and balanced. They don't have to attach a wobbly atom to another wobbly atom to create a balanced whole. Humans currently and past, it's shifting currently, have connected and bonded, not everyone, but on trauma relationships. You'll get one person that has strengths in this area, another in that area. They'll connect and make whole, and they balance it out that way. But imagine how it could be if we create our own balanced whole and then connect. So it's 2 wholes coming together rather than 2 halves. So therefore, everyone has a different perception. So we would say there'd be a different archetypal energy to a different color, a different chakra to what this lady has done, because it's coming at it from a different perspective. But it also depends what plane you start on. If you start on red or orange or green, then you might perceive it completely differently, but then you can start over here. So therefore, the permutations, there's infinite permutations and possibilities. And so it's about living our own experience, not getting caught up in these other people's experiences, but understanding that they are there because we can embrace them, we can read them, we can watch them, although we're living in a day and age where we watch too much. And it's about shutting off, relaxing, calming our visual sensory systems and developing our other sensory systems in the external reality. Because when we give them a rest in the external reality, it can then do what it needs to do to regenerate those networks internally, so that we can develop our clairaudience, our claircognizance, our clairvoyancies, which are your external vision, but on your internal, it's the intuition of the visual on the internal, your intuition of your auditory. So therefore, the energy is doing what it needs to do to untangle, unwind, and then weave together again. And there's big holes, you know, you can have leaky gut syndrome. There's holes in the intestine. So I don't know if one could hear earlier our stomach making gurgling noises and then the clicking noises going on here, but all the patterns get mirrored between the body. It just goes from wide expansive into the small pattern. The wide expansive, what's meant to be a beautiful, this is what we perceive meant to be, because this is the concept and the idea that we've held on to right from the start, when pictures were our way of communicating through Pinterest, into where we're aiming to get on that energetic patterning. And everything in between is just the chaos, the wording, the personalities, the stuff that's happening while we go to and fro, back and forth on all these multi-dimensional planes, with different anchor points being the starting point. But that the intestines are meant to be a beautiful Celtic knot, and they create a labyrinth in, a labyrinth out, and and we were going to say how that's the expansive big mirror reflection of your Adam's apple, and you can hear as our voice gets croaky and the rest of it. So we don't want to be on here too long. We're going to finish soon. Did we finish what we're on now? So we're on the Tower. No, we got to Death, didn't we? Because of the bones, and then Capricorn. The knees, we've lost that one though, really. And then what to do with the lightning, because we'd have that big lightning bolt coming down in through our head, which jarred the head. That's when we were doing Fibonacci stuff right up to whatever. Our story's all kind of starting to kind of come together in snippets for us at the moment, and organisation, everything's starting to happen more. Over the next 6 months, there's going to be still time. Then there's going to be us I don't know if it's going to be a Patreon channel or a website. I can imagine it might be a Patreon channel first because it's easiest, but we know that it's just always our conscious mind wanting to know, to feel safe and secure, and that hand's really hurting, throbbing. But we're going to have different tiers so that there's each channel, our YouTube channel, on our Patreon, and there'll be books. We've got so many books. There'll be books themed for that, so that basically it's our continued self-growth, self-development, self-awareness, self-discovery, connections. Hopefully people, well, not hopefully, it doesn't matter, but you can see through our channels with anyone that's got an iota of understanding of this journey, the effort we put in to our food, to our liquids, to the rest of it, so that we will be, because whoever has these channels or the rest of it, I suppose they are considered a bit of a leader or a host or a facilitator of the community that channel brings in. And so our Shinto self-empowerment is about the individual and the subconscious and the past data, information, memories on the body. ShintoSEYE, the Shinto yoga experience, is the collective of us in this body. It's the continued growth and alchemization and back and forth of this rewiring, weaving, etc. The subconscious is, or the Shintos, is more of like the surface, what we tend to project outwards, and until there's more awareness and denials are woken up. But when we've always said that the hardest thing isn't waking up to a denial or becoming awake. The hardest thing is staying awake in the conscious awareness, witnessing oneself. And for us, that's meant, you know, we could have gone down the pathway that we've been taken over by a spirit or an entity or something external of us. But it's common knowledge from a lot of these quantum physicists, highly intelligent, that everything from your quantum physicist like Nassim Haramein, who gets it, to your scientists that searches on it from a different level, like David Eagleman, and talks about synesthesia. David Eagleman does a great thing on literally giving you the scientific information of everyday life now, how our brain's a black box and how it processes, the BBC documentaries, how it processes the information. But then Nassim Haramein, he's got, you know, the quantum physicist that's got the big massive metal machinery that sends out sound vibrations, which is heavy, that needs to be bolted down because sound can make us levitate, which brings us into autobiography, things of like autobiography of a yogi and the traditional mythology, where you've got the yogis that have the paranormal, the powers and everything that go on to play. But all of this basically is a projection from our internal realities outwards. But when you've got loads of different people projecting different things outwards, then for that collective idea to be manifest into the physical reality, you have to have a certain I'd say certain number of people, but that's not really accurate, because you could have a certain number of people that's much less than another number of people over here. But these ones are purer channels. Their vibration is not just resonating and vibrating higher, because in terminology for light workers today, they're talking about raising your vibration and going into the 5D, but it's not about going into the 5D, because if we go into the 5D and raise our vibration, then we're leaving the rest of it behind. And we're not meant to leave the rest of it behind. We're meant to anchor ourselves deep down from the reds and oranges of our central nervous system, the central nervous system being the emotional house. Hence why with yoga, they strengthen you from your peripheral nervous system, your limbs of action, so that you're strong enough to handle the force of the energy from the central nervous system. For us, yoga had to break us. Because we're all, as human beings, born as geniuses. But whether one gets picked up on that genius or how they develop it is individual to nurture, environment, nature, a number of things. Our genius went into surviving life in these alternate personalities and everything else, and rewiring the external body to a certain way to make it look like we were a certain way, to conform, to be able to kind of do our best to conform to reality and not get perceived as crazy or different or freak or the rest of it, and to put up this fuck you mentality, don't mess with me, tank girl archetype. Because inside we were broken. We'd never had any maternal or paternal healthy love. And when we lived with someone that's passive aggressive, and our parent, the single parent, he did the best he could with what he had, but he can't wake up to his own denials because of the emotions of shame and guilt. This is our perception that it would bring up. But it's meant that we've had to continue suffering and suffering. And the reason we've had to cut everyone else off is because of, which is in us as well. But if we're attempting to become the person we want to be, we have to let that go and leave that behind, with the limiting belief systems, the societal ways. But that means then, because of our hypersensitivity and our autism and our mirroring and our copying, that means we've had to cut off from everyone else as well, because if we keep them around us, that means we're keeping denial around us. If we're keeping the frequencies of denial around us and we are so sensitive to the energies, then we're going to stay in those denials. But that means we've had to step into fully embracing our traumas of abandonment and the rest of it. And so so we're not good. So our legs are the grounding, arms are more of the communication and the upper chakras. Your shins and calves and your forearms are your ascending colon for the right, descending for the left. But again, that's one perception. The deeper you go, it swaps, because when you mirror things and you got that pattern, what's on the left here then goes to the right, then goes to the left, then goes to the right on the surface. But if you go down from the surface, whatever that is that starts on the right up there starts on the left on the next one, because as it goes like that on the outside, it goes like that on the inside, and you just got fractal within fractal within fractal, and it mirrors, etc. So depending how we're communicating depends on how deep we're communicating from. Oh God, it's so hard to do this to pay. This to pay. Okay, let's just finish this and not talk. We talk when we're anxious. We talk when we're finding things difficult. We talk when we feel we have to do a certain thing. We're talking when what we're talking about is about to stop talking and go with intuition. So death, judgment, the tower, the chariot, the hanged man. And then once these are out of the way, we're going to have two left, which is the world and the star. We're a triple star: sun, moon, south node, past karmic action. We're also a rising sign is our opposite, which is Leo, and our north node is Leo. So we have quite, I don't know, I think we've got quite an unusual chart. I don't know that for sure, but I know that in one of the books that we've used before, there's crowns, and if you have 4 of these crowns, it's really good. But you could possibly, then you've got the opposite, where you've got the 4 crowns that are inverted, and that means it's going to be majorly hard. That's us. This was the new deck that we opened, really good. It's hexagonal cards. We bought it a while ago. But we actually used them the other day. I think it was the 13th, almost the last day of the 7-day transformation. Did that with the archetypes in the journal and the Mayan Oracle, a galactic of light language. And we've got the root chakra and the crown chakra, number 1 and number 7. They don't word it like that. We're about to do the cards and ending on that. This is waking up, which is the communication, because of the collarbone that got displaced and then fused on top of each other. Then we cycled John O'Groats to Land's End while it was still healing. So all the networks anchored themselves in the body, because we had the energetic anchor out there that got manipulated, and we can feel what it is in the body that's all unwinding itself as well. We didn't Google it. We were going to, but we've gone from a swan reflections, the ugly duckling, into a beautiful swan of the singular, into a family of reflections of hippopotamuses, connection, family, so that our family within us is all connecting, the fragmentation is all connecting. A swan is a bird hippopotamus flying unless it's in your imagination. Hey, look, our connection is unstable because it's unwinding when it comes in again. Hippopotamuses, I think they go on land as well. They're not always in the water, I don't think. I think they go in the water to cool down. So I think hippopotamuses are mainly land creatures that go into the water rather than, let's say, penguins. We watched them the other day, but they mainly land too, but they swim better in water. But penguins have very traumatic childhood. Parents just leave them when they reach a certain height. So you could get tall really young and then you get buggered off by your parents. But they all stick together because they're all the little uns. The brave one penguin that makes the first move, they all then follow him. We've been watching that thing, haven't we? So yeah, that's all we can really say about hippopotamuses at the moment. We're going from the Aries full moon. It was it a special full moon? Was it a super moon? I don't know. It was our heart. Venus is our Aries in house 8, which is creation and destruction. Yeah, well done. That is right, isn't it? Which is also our master guide, isn't it? It's the vibration. It's the 8th limb of yoga is samadhi, self-realization. 7th limb of yoga being dhyana, meditation. I'm pretty sure we get dhyana and dharana mixed up. But I'm pretty sure dharana is the 6th limb, which is concentration, of which you need concentration for the dhyana meditation. And then you get into self-realization, which is union of one's breath, mind, body with the cosmos. But the way it's portrayed at the moment is that you'd have pinpointed focused attention, whereas for us what we've navigated through is that each altar has pinpointed focused attention, which means we've always got at least 7 go pinpointed focused attentions. It has been more at once, but we've managed to attempt to get it down to 3. Your red, your blue, and your purple, which is an alchemization of your red and your blue. The head is a mirror image patterning of your body being your torso, and your legs and your arms again are that too, but that would get fragmented. It's about utilizing the hands and the arms together and utilizing your legs. And this is fascinating what's coming out of our mouth right now. Using your legs and your feet together, but before being able to use them. Don't want more. No, there's no before or after. It doesn't matter what starts. It's about utilizing them on their own first, because you have your whole body in your hand. For reflexology, you have your whole body in your foot, but they do say that with reflexology, half of your body's in your left foot, half of it's in your right foot, half's in a hand, half's in the other hand. But we can use our leg on its own. For instance, if we're doing Vrukshana, God, I don't know if we said that properly, but tree pose, where balancing pose is where you're standing on one leg, or you can use them together. We're going through the energies of the Aries full moon to the Scorpio new moon. That's the spectrum of energies we're transitioning in. And we're coming at the Scorpio new moon is the whole starting of a big fractal within fractals, because it's an eclipse tunnel that's coming up. So the eclipse is tunnels, and the energies that come into play there are what's then going to portray the whole way through, while we have these mini lunar cycles in between. And you can do a lunar cycle from a full moon to full moon, which has got different energies, or the bigger picture that holds that smallest picture cycle in is an Aries full moon to an Aries full moon, or an Aries full moon to an Aries new moon. So there's all these cycles and rhythms within cycles and rhythms, just like you've got the Earth year, Uranus year, which is like 74 Earth years or something. We're just plucking numbers out of it here now. They could be right, they might not be. But so you've got all these different circles within circles within circles, which could bring you to the seed of life, the fruit of life, the flower of life. I don't know why we don't put the degrees down for the full moon and the new moon. It would make sense for us to do that. We might do that in future. We haven't even done the thumbnails or title properly, anything for this one. We're not in that at the moment. But at 3 o'clock today, the moon was at 4 degrees 36 minutes and the sun was at 25 degrees and 10 minutes. 4 degrees connects us into the vibration of 4. That's when our traumas mainly happened. Snowflake was 2 when the host body was 4. Hence why the vibration of 2 is really influential today. 25 is made up of a 2 and a 5. 5 is about change. So there's a whole change, transformation between an integration between the traumas and the networks and the pathways. 2 and 5 equaling 7, which is self-growth, self-development. 36 is the minutes. The minutes are the minutes of the day, the degrees. So 4 degrees would be like 4 days into. So that would be talking about how 3 and 6 is of the what's perceived as the Tesla code, but apparently Tesla didn't say those words, but that's not for now. So that's all the curves. That's where there is order within the chaos, and the order within the chaos is the 3, the 6, the 9 that gives the codes to that. So the deeper internal curves, feminine energies are going on, while the external, the 4, the linear, the masculine, the emperor is staying strong, firm foundations. Were you talking about that on one of our posts where we hold on to Anak with arms and feet keep still and pelvis move? And so that everything in between pelvis and feet and pelvis and the other one can unwrangle and come in together again. Well, those are anchor points on the outside there. And we sort out hip movement, because all fear, trauma, anxiety go in pelvis and it get rigid, see? And 10 too. No more cards. So we pre-shuffled these. We broken box. It's okay, we can fix it. Everything's fixable. So we've been doing our metaphysical reading out loud as well. We're going to get into reading the whole section on being on being born, on birth. There's quite a few pages on that. We're going to read that. We've read lots of other things that we did over our meditative practice. Tito Pomo, I'm not sure if it's before and after. It's probably before and after the last one of these. On the Queen's funeral. We've been doing all our Fibonacci number sequence and correlating it and doing stuff with the Lucas numbers, which is from a Lucas sequence, which are more accurate. Actually done a bit of sacred geometry and stuff that's come in there. So there's lots of little things being started here, there, everywhere. And we've got this out as well. This is all getting moved. Soap making kit. We have literally just started our first batch of goat's kefir light, which is lower in fat, higher in protein, but with the same amount of 27 live bacteria. But we've still got one of our old blue one left, and we're going to put that into the soaps that we make, along with some of the stuff from our garden and some of the citrus that we grind off. And so that we've got the live bacteria of the full fat on the external body. So because if you're full fat, light, this is Mallet word association now. So if we're starting the kefir goat's light, that will make us lighter and vibrate faster. That's how Jesus walked on water. You love that one, don't you? But so if we have full fat within us, that makes us heavier and denser, and it's the young that's why you need it when you're a baby, full fat milk from mummy, because you're connected more to source energy when you're born and when you die, and so you put that in you and it makes you denser and heavier. And if you eat a lot of full fat foods, you get heavier. But then there's the whole thing of eating stuff that's processed, and if you're going to eat less fat that's processed, it's worse for you in our experience and opinion than it is to eat full fat from our perspective. So what we're trying to get at is we're starting the light. The protein's going to help build up the muscle. It's going to make us lighter inside as everything else continues to unwind and unravel. The whole congestion and sacs that are full of fluid and liquid are full of really beneficial fluid and liquids, and our diatomaceous earth, which is the foundation for the matrix of the body, the connective tissue, which then gives you a surface like Velcro, one part of the Velcro, so that then the other things in your body that's needed to make calcium can then adhere to that Velcro, and therefore we can rebuild our structural foundation, bone structure of the body, so that then the rest can follow. And if we put the full fat, denser, heavier thing on our external body with the soap and with our last bit of marijuana weed and butter that was homegrown, homemade, which we made into an oil, and we were going to make into a daytime cream and a nighttime cream, we're still getting that live bacteria for our skin biome on the external body that's denser, so it'll thicken up our skin on the external. I don't know where we're going by that, but this is going to be fascinating to listen back to. Okay. This is really going to clear out the energies. Oh, we only wanted one. Oh, well, we've got 3. Should we do it this way round? Oh, look at that. 3 good colours, isn't it? Yeah! Number 2! Free ourselves from pain, red. Ah, yes, we like that. Free ourselves from pain, red. That's an awesome card to go with it. This is another one. So when we go back and put all of this stuff together, our Patreon channels aren't just going to be for the books for that channel. And there'll be different tiers. So you can have a tier of a monthly subscription for that channel, or you can have a couple of channels, or you can have all 3 channels. But then there's going to be another monthly subscription where you have just the book, or you can have book and tarot cards. I don't think we're going to do tarot cards on its own. It's going to get too much, but it'll be book. Well, no, it's going to be books and oracle cards. Book for ShintoSEYE is going to be books and tarot card readings. And then on the Joy to Coco, Journey of Involution, which is about going inwards and it's a deeper dive, that's going to have much more of the in-depth material. It's going to be about how connecting the tarot and the oracle cards together to be able to use them to understand ourselves and what's going on for us, whichever age that we're coming at it from. And there's going to go into all of us down the line once we've been going for a while. We're going to have we've got our bothered, all our there's going to be like exercises around trauma, homework, our trauma books with yoga, our trauma books with astrology. We've got so many books, and a lot of them that are really good. Because 32 always reminds us of her mum, because that's the age that she died. And it's jade, green, the heart, and it's taking action. Jade brings us into New Zealand and the Punamu, the green stone. And we are starting to take action. Red and green brings us into our Bitcoin analysis. One some of us did because they're the younger ones and they're the ones that used to smoke a lot. Of course, when we smoke, it's better because it's not better, wrong words again. Smoking suppresses our little uns, and we've been needing to grow up our little uns to get them to into the spectrum of resonant frequencies that our older ones can kind of come down to. The superconscious can come down to as well, because then when the superconscious and the subconscious connect and the conscious connect, we'll be able to get into more of a harmonic whole. And red and green, we use the rainbow colors on the EMAs, the faster moving averages, and the SMAs, the slower moving averages. And we're going to do our whole Bitcoin analysis that's similar to other people, so that you've got the fundamental analysis, which is about the coin, the cryptocurrency, or if you're on stock markets, the stock markets, what the company is it centralized, decentralized, what's the product, what's the service, is it sustainable, is it eco-friendly, is it moving into an innovative future, is it accepting of difference, etc., etc. There'll be the tech analysis, which is the mathematical indicators and the way one would read the chart. You've then got the news, so you've got all the different ways that one can do it currently, with some of the new unconventional stuff of using the stars and astrology to do it, of which we will as well, along with the eclipses and the lunar cycles, going up to doing past data. But while we'll be gathering past data on these things, but we'll also be gathering past data through all of our actions on all of our different social media, in our big diary that we've got for next year, so that at every day and every time slot there will be web screenshots, if we can figure out how to bring all this stuff back, screenshots, camera images, personal, camera images, videos, personal, then it'll go on to all of our channels so that we've got all of that information there, and then we'll put that into statistic form so that we can read our patterning. We'll learn to read our own chart, we'll learn to read Bitcoin's chart, and then there's the collective chart. So for instance, our house 4 is Sagittarius, the collective house 4 is Cancer. So we'd learn how our chart goes with the collective, we'd learn how Bitcoin's chart goes with the collective, or whatever that extra entity is. It could be a stock market, whatever, and then how all three come together. We don't need to share any of that, but this is, and so then it'll be those patterns, our patterns. Oh, we talked about 3 earlier, didn't we? Bringing the patterns in together of how they work individually, because there's always a winner and a loser, going back to duality reality, because when someone is selling, that means there has to be someone to buy. And when we're initially getting into this game of monopoly, of the fucked up, excuse our language, government and way the economic system works, we have to learn it, understand it, learn how learn how to play the game, and then manipulate the game to serve humanity's and Earth's highest good, rather than being one of these people that does have kind of good heart value intentions, but they've not really gone deep enough, and they're just buying bling, 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 whereas we could be buying forests and rainforests and land to stop McDonald's harvesting and doing meat, etc. We've got some pretty big wild dreams. So for us to get our little ones to do what we have done, which some people could be jealous of, it's not a lifestyle to be jealous of, because it's full on, it's hectic, and there's a lot to navigate through. But we understand this is our purpose, because we've always had inner strength, we've always been an inspiration, we've been trained since a really young age to do stuff on our own, so that we've got that hard shell where don't mess with us, because we could kill if we had to, but we would never want to, and our conscious would be whatever afterwards. Hence we'll try every other option, even putting ourselves through the most pain and the most shit, not to ever be put in those circumstances. And we've been told we're really psychic and everything. So that's where these emotions, that we can sometimes look at something from an external point of view onto someone else, we need to be really careful with how we use our words and terminology, from both ways. And that's one reason why we don't have anyone in our life, because when we have people in our life, we want to give to that person a certain value base, a certain energetic exchange, of which we're not capable to do at the moment. We had this with someone recently, and we're really grateful with the way that they responded and the wording they used, and not sharing their own stuff, because a lot of people feel the need to share their own stuff and why they did something, which is just the victim consciousness and them coming out again, because we're very much aware of the stuff underlying and energetically that's going on. Some of us are. It's complicated, but we're very grateful to that's happened. Lilac, strengthen our face. Strengthen our face. Yeah, we do need to strengthen our face. Strengthen our faith, and that's 42. So that's our age currently now. It's our mum's age when she died, and it's Snowflake's age when the host body was 4. All stuff we've talked about. So we're just we've had the cards, we don't need to pull them. We're obviously not doing the spectrum of energies because we started shuffling again. We're going to do these really quickly because we do want to listen to the Tao reading, which starts really soon. So we've pre-shuffled, we're just doing a chakra oracle. There's one just being chucked. We're not going to look at the other ones. Isolation. It's time for us we're on the isolation journey anyway, but it's time for us now to go deeper within, with this faith and knowledge and strength that we've got, to know that we let go of all our external knowledge and YouTubers and support groups, because we've got it all within us and we can do this on our own, and every one of us is ready, even though we don't necessarily feel ready. We're not going to get given, we're going to choose this one, because 5, because we're embracing sadness and aloneness, and we're going to heal from that the pain of feeling like we've lost people that we've deeply loved on this journey. but there's always a blessing to disguise, and we didn't want to live in England anyway down the line, so at least now when it comes to leaving England, it'll be a lot easier. And the chakra card that goes with this, Two of Swords, because we're going to get the bandages out and the scarves on, tie them around our ears and our eyes, tie them around our neck to do slight compression on our neck, to do compression on our eyes and our ears, so that when we do our breath work, this is anchored inwards and won't expand and pop out like it currently is, because of our ability to be flexible and adapt to what is ever needed for the moment as we alchemize the energetics around us, physically, virtually, with people, so that we can bring those final layers in, because our inside is starting to function, and so that it can fully go out to the outside, so that eventually we'll be able to, after we start a Patreon channel, get that started going, get financially self-sufficient, we'll be in a state of physical body, mind, spirit, soul, heart, of strength, balance, and adaptability, that we'll be able to leave the house with faith and trust, and knowing that we will be able to manage any circumstance without projecting any toxic frequencies onto another, even if it's a reaction to their toxic energies being projected onto us. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to read yours quickly now before we go. I'm so interested in everything you say about connective tissue. Have been ripping apart my stuck fascia for the past 13 years. If you've been ripping apart, we don't want to give advice, but what comes to us there, if you've been ripping apart, are you just ripping it apart? Are you bonding it together as well? Because if we're just ripping it apart, we're going to collapse, and there's going to be a lot of chaos that happens. For everything that gets ripped apart, there needs to be something getting stuck together as well. So the ripping apart is the stretching can create ripping apart, where something separates, but you need to connect strength with that as well. So you've got your contracting muscle, which is strength, and for every contracting muscle you've got your synergist muscle, which stretches. And so I hope that you're balancing it out and not just ripping apart. I hope that you're balancing it out with strengthening and stretching. I don't think there's many of us out there, but I think there's more of us out there than we realize. It's just that we're not the type of people that are extroverts and speak outwards, and we are the type of people that need to start speaking out. The systems need people like us in it. Okay, may see you there. Take care. Lots of love. Oh, we did it. And it's longer again. We wanted to just be over 10 minutes. Bye.